swashbuckling film adventure for Boxing Day with Pirate Prince.
What is this, coin or treasure?
There is no treasure.
You're a liar, Jack Prince. You wouldn't move face to spit lest there was pickings.
Is there a cause you would die for, Jack Prince? Men have been happy to die for less.
Danger for Pirate Prince today at 2:15 on ITV.
If you need to find a dentist in a hurry...
ITV's Christmas line on Leeds 448
If I use all my Heinz baked beans, will I grow up to be famous?
Why not? You've got your mother's charm, your mother's talent, your father's nose.
Oh, but nothing that can't be fixed, eh?
You were robbed.
Oh, get off!
Millions of little Britons have grown up great knowing beans means Heinz.
In the Homeworld sale, we've cut the price of every piece of furniture and hundreds of different electrical items. The Homeworld sale, open New Year's Day.
Free credit on brand new Rover, Fiat, Renault, Nissan and Ford. Yes, 0% finance starts on December 27th at DC Cook.
Look for the DC Cook sign.
Gee, Tony, Hank hasn't shown and we need a rider. We bet the ranch on it.
Okay, here goes. Bull riding? Oh, no.
Hold tight!
Thanks, pal. You scored a bullseye.
Enjoy Kellogg's Frosties as part of your complete breakfast.
They're great.
They'll bring out the tiger in you.
And you.
Oh, every year it's the same. You overdo it on the mince pies and you have to sleep it off.
No, I'm just resting my eyes from this tablecloth.
Not just white, Persil white.
Lynx Aftershave with skin conditioners.
To prove that Mr. Muscle tackles the filthiest of jobs with plenty of muscle, we gave it to someone with none. Our oven cleaner devours the greasiest ovens cold. And the kitchen cleaner, all it takes is a little squirt. Mr. Muscle loves the jobs you hate.
The shop's open now, Mummy.
Now, what shall I have?
I got some nice biscuits.
Yes, please.
I got some washing up liquid.
No, I don't think I'll buy that.
Why?
I'd miss my fairy madness.
What's madness?
It's kindness, caring, the way fairy bubbles help keep my hands soft.
They feel nice.
Yes, my hands just wouldn't trust anything else.
Can I have your fairy then, Mummy?
Why? Tell me.
So I can sell it to my shop.
Now hands that do dishes can feel soft as your face with mild green fairy liquid.
This Boxing Day on ITV, join Michael Barrymore for a special Strike It Lucky as veterans of the Gulf fall in for fun and a spot of drill. But will this raw recruit earn his stripes?
By the front, quick, march, left, right, about, turn! Get back on here, Barrymore!
You're not supposed to read the question. That's one way to win a show, isn't it? Cheap.
Strike It Lucky tonight at 6:45 on ITV.
Well, now it's time for the ITN News headlines brought to you by Sue Carpenter.
The news from ITN.
Bush gives diplomatic recognition to Yeltsin's Russia. The president said he was now ready to work with Boris Yeltsin and the leaders of the other new independent republics to strengthen the reforms begun by Mr. Gorbachev. And he bid a personal farewell to Mr. Gorbachev. Mr. Bush said the former Soviet leader had opened up a new world of possibilities and hope for our children.
President Bush cut short his Christmas holiday at the news of Gorbachev's resignation. He returned to the White House to go on nationwide television with a public and warm farewell to the man who was first an enemy, but who became a close friend and ally.
I'd like to express on behalf of the American people my gratitude to Mikhail Gorbachev for years of sustained commitment to world peace and for his intellect, vision, and courage. Our enemies have become our partners, committed to building democratic and civil societies. They ask for our support, and we will give it to them. We will do it because as Americans, we can do no less.
It was almost anticlimactic that Mr. Bush went on to give official White House recognition to all the new republics.
We stand tonight before a new world of hope and possibilities for our children, a world we could not have contemplated a few years ago. The challenge for us now is to engage these new states in sustaining the peace and building a more prosperous future.
Their relationship began in the frost of Cold War with the mutual fear of nuclear annihilation. Together they resolved the Cold War by reducing the nuclear arsenals. But Bush credits Gorbachev with engineering what he called one of the greatest dramas of the century.
The historic and revolutionary transformation of a totalitarian dictatorship, the Soviet Union, and the liberation of its peoples.
Their friendship is thought to have begun when Gorbachev made his impromptu walkabout in Washington 4 years ago. That was his master stroke of public relations. In a moment, he became the human face of what Americans had been taught was the evil empire. His popularity here has endured far better than at home. Never before had there been real friendship between the tenants of the Kremlin and the White House. One suspects that although Boris Yeltsin is determined to accelerate the reforms Gorbachev began, he will be kept at arm's length until his staying power is proved. George Bush's speech last night truly does mark the end of an historic and unique relationship between the superpowers. David Cass, ITN, the White House.
The Soviet Parliament formally recognised the new Commonwealth this morning and voted itself out of existence. Mr. Gorbachev has moved out of the Kremlin, and the last trappings of his stay there are being quietly removed. He's been left with a pension, a flat in Moscow, a country house, and a 20-strong bodyguard.
Mikhail Gorbachev's limousine swept him out of the Kremlin late last night and into political obscurity. The symbols of the old order were being removed today. A handful of deputies from the once powerful Supreme Soviet formally voted the USSR out of existence. Boris Yeltsin, meanwhile, was meeting KGB officials at their Lubyanka headquarters. Mr. Yeltsin now controls all military and security forces in Russia. But the dawn of this new age heralded few changes on the streets of Moscow. A 500-ruble note appeared for the first time, complete with the head of Lenin and the initials of the USSR. Fruit at the street markets was still rotting, and people out buying trees for the New Year's Eve celebrations were pessimistic. There's nothing to be happy about, declared this woman. I'm afraid there'll be clashes and bloodshed. A pensioner agreed. I'm very scared, he said. The press gave Mr. Gorbachev mixed reviews. One paper showed him standing with Boris Yeltsin in a pile of ashes. Says the caption, I think we can consider perestroika practically completed. Tim Ewart, ITN, Moscow.
China stood alone today in condemning the legacy of Mikhail Gorbachev. Beijing's official news agency blamed Mr. Gorbachev's liberal reforms for the problems now facing the former Soviet republics. Chancellor Kohl said Germans owed him tremendous gratitude for opening up the Iron Curtain and paving the way for German unification. President Mitterrand of France expressed personal gratitude for Mr. Gorbachev's work in the defence and peace of the world. Reports from Yugoslavia say 2 people died and 15 were wounded in fighting between Croatian units and the Serbian-dominated Yugoslav army. The fighting around Osijek in eastern Croatia was in spite of a locally agreed Christmas truce. Croatia is said to be calm this morning. Here, the Home Office hopes to create an extra 5,000 prison places by next Christmas to cut down the number of remand prisoners forced to stay in police cells. The West Midlands Chief Constable, Ron Hadfield, says police are not properly equipped to look after them and has warned of possible unrest.
Says no great things to him, I can enjoy that.
A festive lunch laid on for these sentenced prisoners being held in police cells. The food is prepared in the officers' canteen and better than average for those in custody. But the conditions in this cramped container unit are rudimentary. Each meal is microwaved one at a time, and the small cells which were built to house one prisoner must now accommodate two. Mick McDonough has served 9 weeks of a 15-month sentence here in West Bromwich Police Station. He says the regime is easygoing, a testament to prisoner-police officer cooperation. But despite the basic facilities laid on, resources are limited. It's not unheard of for prisoners to be cooped up here for up to 4 months, and there are over 1,200 prisoners in cells like these.
On a short-term basis, they don't get bored, but if they're here too long, boredom does set in and can cause a little bit of unrest, perhaps.
It is not a role that was intended for the police. It's not a role that we particularly enjoy doing. So on the one hand, we are the catchers, but at the moment we're also the keepers.
The Home Office says it's currently trying to reduce numbers in police cells nationally. By Christmas time next year, they hope to have over 5,000 extra places in prison. Eric McInnes, ITN, in the West Midlands.
Housing authorities in Northern Ireland say people bombed out of their homes by terrorists face long delays before they get a new home. The warning comes after a record year of bomb damage in the province. Many people are living in bed and breakfast accommodation and caravans.
8 months ago, the IRA bombed this Protestant housing estate in Cookstown. 140 houses were damaged, 14 had to be demolished, leaving families homeless. This Christmas, the rebuilding is still going on. Some of the people are having to make do in a makeshift caravan site on the estate's play area. Their furniture is stored away in containers.
When you're stuck in a caravan, it's not easy. It's cold for a start, the stamp. I came over yesterday morning, I had no water. And when I turned on the taps, I had no water. It was all frozen up. I mean, at home you could light a fire and you wouldn't have that problem. It's just very annoying being out of your home so long. And, you know, we didn't think it would be so long.
Ulster's housing executive, which owns the homes, is hard-pressed to meet demands after IRA bombings. They say delays and hardship are inevitable.
We do our best in the circumstances, but that best, of course, is inevitably not as good as it might be. We give temporary accommodation where temporary accommodation is needed. But the awful anguish of people seeing their property absolutely destroyed, old furniture that they've had for years, various things, old ladies weeping over pictures that they've had down the generations and so on. All this type of thing is really awful.
The housing executive is more than £1 million overspent on its budget for bomb damage. Improvement work elsewhere has had to be stopped because of the extra costs. And when privately owned houses are hit by IRA bombs, it's another story of hardship with even lengthier delays. Last June, homes in Donaghcloney near Lisbon were devastated. This bungalow belongs to the Allen family. It's since been demolished, but rebuilding hasn't even started yet. The Allens have had to move into their son's terraced house. They're embroiled in the bureaucracy of an insurance claim. Damage caused by bombing has to be compensated by the government. And so the insurance company won't pay up until that claim is settled. After 7 months, the Allens still don't have all the money to rebuild their home.
I couldn't have been this far without my friends, church friends I must say, as well, and giving me gifts of money and gifts to make a home.
When you get up that particular night and get out and leave your bungalow, get everything the way you wanted it, and you walked out, you had to put out that night, you know, back the next morning found a whole lot in rubble. It's just havoc.
And the Allens are still having to pay a mortgage for nothing more than foundations. There are scores of people in the same difficulties this Christmas. All of them say the aftermath of hardship caused by bombing in Ulster goes virtually unnoticed. Andrew Simmons, ITN, Northern Ireland.
Refuse collectors throughout the country are already preparing to pick up mountains of extra rubbish left over from Christmas festivities. In Leeds, the council has begun a pioneering scheme to reduce the harmful environmental effects of dumping waste. They aim to recycle 50% of all the city's rubbish.
For days now, Britain's been on a booze binge. It's the time of year when most drink is drunk, leaving behind millions of empty bottles. It's the same story with cans. In fact, Christmas time leaves behind thousands of tonnes of extra rubbish, which has to be collected and disposed of. And that's good news for a pioneering recycling scheme in Leeds. Here, householders are issued with 2 rubbish bins and are encouraged to sort all their waste as they throw it out. Once collected, the rubbish is laboriously checked by hand to make sure it's correctly sorted before going to various recycling plants. It's estimated up to 75% of household waste can be recycled. Leeds' target is at least 50%, more than any other council in Britain. Apart from the obvious benefits of recycling raw materials, the scheme, when extended, will save on landfill sites. Costs for such sites are already rocketing. New from old is the ultimate aim of the Leeds project. After Christmas and the New Year, these machines are guaranteed to be working at full capacity. Jim Buchanan, ITN, Leeds.
Finally, Desert Orchid, Britain's favourite racehorse, is trying for a record 5th win in this afternoon's King George VI chase at Kempton Park. Win or lose, the race could be Desi's last. If he does come home first, it will top a career record of 35 wins, during which he earned £750,000 for his owners. He's only lost the King George VI once. And that's it. We're back at 5:15 when we'll have a full roundup of news and today's sport. Until then, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon on Boxing Day, and we get things going today by taking a look at our schools weather competition. Now, school children throughout the country were asked to forecast the temperature in major cities in Britain on Christmas Day, and these are the results. Surprisingly enough, both Cardiff and Glasgow came out equal top at 7.1 degrees Celsius. London was next at 6.4, and Belfast, the coolest of all, at 5.6, and as I say, that's degrees Celsius. So things are very mild for this time of year, and our wind flow picture here explains exactly why. We've high pressure in charge, very close to the British Isles, hardly moving at all, and all the real weather activity going on around us, as it were. So we get a bit of a breather for a change, whilst Europe in direct comparison suffered some really strong blasts of cold northerly winds over the Christmas period. Well, back over to these shores here, and today it's very much a case of grey, cloudy skies. Some brightness attempting to come through, mainly in the east. Rain and drizzle, some in northern and western coastal areas. The best of the brightness in northeastern England, eastern Scotland, East Anglia and parts of the sheltered south coast. Well, if after yesterday's successes you want to blow away those Christmas cobwebs, temperatures are looking very good indeed today, into double figures virtually throughout the country, and those winds are easing right off, I'm glad to say, apart from parts of Northumbria and coastal areas close to the Irish Sea. Now, a very quick look ahead at the way we expect the weather to go. And tomorrow, well, things remain very similar to today's weather, in fact. Partly cloudy, rain and drizzle in the north and west. On Saturday, temperatures do take a bit of a dip, and fog could well become a problem for England and Wales. And that's the way we expect the rest of the holiday weather to turn out. Join me later if you can.
Highlights for Boxing Day on ITV. At 6:45, join Michael Barrymore for a special military edition of Strike It Lucky. Then at 7:30, there's no rest for the Bill.
Oh my God, what's he done now?
At 8, there's a new Ruth Rendell mystery movie.
She's been kidnapped.
Kidnapped? And at 10:20, watch out, there are gremlins about. Boxing Day on ITV.
And in a few moments, the comedy film Side by Side. Three old friends set up a sportswear firm for the over 65s.
For Christmas schedules of the buses and trains in your area,
Ring YTV's Christmas line on Leeds 448 199.
We just can't keep the huge savings in Miller Brothers Electrical Mega Sale under wraps. Save £100 on this Akai video. Miller Brothers Mega Value, £349.90. Mega Choice, Mega Value, Mega Sale at Miller Brothers, Thorpe Arch, Leeds, Hull, Doncaster and Stockton.
Gee, Tony, Hank hasn't shown and we need a rider. We bet the ranch on him.
Okay, here goes.
Bull riding? Oh, no.
Hold tight!
Thanks, pal. You scored a bullseye.
Enjoy Kellogg's Frosties as part of your complete breakfast.
They're great.
They'll bring out the tiger in you.
And you.
The famous name sale starts tomorrow. Don't miss the huge savings at Rackham's, Binns, Hammond's and House of Fraser.
Hayley Mills gets to melt hearts of stone as Pollyanna.
Pollyanna, this is going to be your new home. And I hope you'll be very happy with me.
I want to go fishing. You want to come along?
Pollyanna discovers a new way to catch fish on Friday morning at 5 to 10 on ITV.
And at 2:15 this afternoon, the film Pirate Prince, a swashbuckling Caribbean adventure set in the days of slavery, rebellion and the struggle for independence.